I'm Evelyn, back again with Grandma's Garden. We're talking about seeds. I know it's January, I know all that snow is out there, and it's very cold. But look at the garden behind me, and know it's spring, summer will come again. It always does. It's like, remember, we didn't think it was going to snow, and it's caught up with us. Okay, I start now dreaming about my garden. Dreaming about what I'm going to plant, trying to figure out where I can put the things that I want to plant, if there's going to be room, or where I have to cut back, and where I have to move the pots in order for them to get enough sun to grow. We're going to talk a little bit about vegetables. Not all of them today, but some. We're just going to highlight, giving you ideas. This is the time of year when you think, all right, what do I want to grow this year? What did I grow last year? Did we enjoy it? Do I want to do it again? Or it was a dud and let's try something different. To me, gardening is an experiment every year. I try something new, see how well it does in my garden. And depending on how well it does, what use I have for it, be it flowers, vegetables, or whatever, whether or not I want to bother with it again next year, or I go off on a tangent and want to try something different again, which is normally what I do. Anyway, so vegetables. Let's bring up our page on vegetables. Alrighty. Beans, so easy to grow. Oh, and so delicious. I love my beans. For a garden, I highly recommend bush beans. They are the ones that you can put in and around your flowers. You only need a 6 by 6 inch space to put them. I can suggest that you put them over a dead zone, not dead soil, the zone where the tulips and crocuses had come up, and it's an empty area. You can grow them there. Bush beans don't need any support. They'll grow on their own. They're tender. They're a very good bean. Again, you can bring them in, be cooking them. They are prolific, can be cooking them all summer. And come fall, if you haven't eaten all of them, you can very quickly blanch them. Blanch them. Boiling water. You put them in for a minute. You take them out and you put them in a bowl with ice water and chill them down right away. Stop the cooking. Dry them off with paper towels. Put them in a baggie, and come wintertime, I have beans to put in my soup, and that makes me very happy. I have beans to cook along with whatever I'm serving for dinner, and that makes me very happy. I like beans with butter, who wouldn't, and garlic. Makes a very tasty bean. You might try putting some Parmesan cheese on it. That's pretty good too. There's a reason I'm round. I like my food. Anyway, now that we've done the beans, and there's many kinds. There's yellow beans, there's green beans, whichever. I think we used to call them wax beans. I remember my mother called them wax beans. Choose the ones that you like. Maybe for children, the yellow beans would be better. I think they're called rock door. Kids might want to eat yellow rather than green. I don't know what their thing is with green, but they don't really like green. Next thing I like, beets. They're so good for you. They are so good for you. As you can see on the TV screen, there's many varieties. They're all different colors. That yellow one I have never eaten. I don't know what that would be like, but I'm sure it would taste the same. The rainbow is kind of pretty. White I've never done, but the red one, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Easy to grow, easy to grow. We'll start the seeds later on. When it's more timely, I will talk about how to plant your seeds, how to take care of your seeds in the house, when to start growing them so that you can then put them outside when it's timely. But beets, now I can beets. I like them just the sweet beet in and of itself, but I also like pickled beets. And that's just a matter of baking them or boiling them, slicing them. Here's the spot to be really careful, because that red dye is red dye and it goes all over everything. My counter is red, my clothes are red, my floor is red. Be careful, but it's worth it. For the pickled beets, it's nothing more than sliced beets, vinegar, and sugar. I will admit, the first year I did it, I forgot to put the sugar in. They were really quite puckery. So when I opened a jar, I'd add sugar to it and let it sit for a couple of days before I would serve the pickled beets again. But they're simple, easy to do. No problem whatsoever, other than the fact, oh, and I would wear gloves, you know, surgery gloves, those kind of things, because you'll have red fingers too. If there's any material you want to dye red, now's the time to do it. You sow that in early spring, the beets. So it would be in when it's time. We'll get talking about broccoli. I like broccoli. Last year at this time, I wouldn't have put a piece of broccoli in my mouth, but I have been tasting it and learning that, yeah, I think I like it. Surprised myself, but yeah, I think I like it. You know that there's just so much you can do with broccoli. Salads, cooked, raw, it is just endless what you can do with broccoli. If you're going to grow it in your garden, I want to give you a heads up. You want, when you bring it in the house, you want to soak it in salt water for at least a half an hour. Or you may be getting extra protein that you weren't looking for. The cabbage moth, that little tiny white moth that everybody's got in their garden, looks harmless. It likes broccoli, and it will lay its eggs on the broccoli, and you'll have these itty bitty little white worms, which are larvae. Some countries eat them, I don't. So soak it in salt water. If you buy it from the store, it's already been taken care of. Don't worry about that. Carrots is another thing. Now, everybody loves carrots, but it has a long growing season. Look at all the colors of the carrots. I can see kids loving those purple carrots. The yellow carrots. Look at those things. Aren't they pretty? You are going to sow those in the early spring, after frost, as soon as you can get into the ground. They probably will not be ready until end of August, middle of August, but they are so, so good. Again, I haven't grown carrots. I can't speak too well to you about knowledge of carrots due to the fact that I haven't grown them. But one of the things that I do suggest when you're growing these vegetables, other than the bush beans, which are going to go in your garden, is you might want to put them in containers. If they are up out of the soil of your ground and they're in a container, tomatoes too, especially tomatoes, they don't get the worms. They don't get those cutworms. They don't get those lovely green-horned tomato worms. Somehow being out of the ground protects them from these worms. I'm going to jump back a little bit here and show you my bag. It's eggshells. I talked about it in a show a couple times ago. I save my eggshells starting in the fall and break them up. Anybody that has slugs in their garden, this is your best friend. It costs you nothing because you've already paid for and enjoyed your egg. Eat your egg, then under running water, rinse out the lining film that's inside your egg shell, put it on the counter, let it dry, and then I add them to my bag, and I keep adding. It takes a long time to get a bag full. This has been going on, well, last fall. Come spring, I'm out there with my fertilizer that I'm throwing in my garden. I'm also throwing eggshells. I don't have slugs in my garden. I've never had slugs in my garden. Yay! But I count on my eggshells every year. It also adds calcium and mineral to the soil, which is good for your soil. We want to keep our soil happy. We're going to go on in a few minutes and do another show, and we're going to talk about greens, and I hope you'll stick around.